Hello gamers, it's your girl, Chicken Parm, here playing Dark Souls Remastered. This is going to be my Let's Play series, playing through this game on PS4. I am going to hopefully do a relatively chill, stress-free or stress-low run of this game. With the goal of showing that this game doesn't have to be the angry man scream fest that a lot of Dark Souls Let's Plays became, especially after 3 came out and it got super popular. This is my third attempt at recording this. I have had a lot of issues with the audio. Hopefully I've got them sorted out. So if it's a little wonky but not perfect, I apologize, but it's gonna have to do so I can move on from this beginning part of the game. Because I kind of wanted to capture my first reactions to everything, but at this point, I've been through the tutorial like 4 times. So I deeply apologize. I don't have the Undead Asylum tutorial commentary or anything like that. Depending on how this goes, I might go back with a new character and record that and just stick it into a playlist or something. But for now, we're just going to pick up from here, from Firelink Shrine, here in Lordran, our first proper area. As soon as you finish the tutorial, you get taken here by a big old bird who's hanging out somewhere. Let's see if I can see him. Yep, there's a crow up there who took us away, whisked us away from the asylum, and brought us here to relative safety. So we are here in Lordran to find and ring the Bell of Awakening, to discover the fate of the undead, which was the dying wish of a man who saved us from the asylum by giving us a key out of our cell. And we're going to rest at this bonfire, which replenishes your health and your healing resources, such as the Estus Flask. As you can see now, I'm up to 10 uses. Before, it's at 5. It's you get different amounts based on different bonfires, and the mechanics of how exactly that works we can get into later, as it becomes relevant and as we figure things out. But for right now, let's just do some exploring. Let's explore the space. Let's spread out and make ourselves at home here at Firelink Shrine, because this is our home. This is our home base. This is safety. Let's talk to this guy.
Well, what do we have here? You must be a new arrival. Let me guess. Fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first. But there's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the undead asylum. But too late now. Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are actually 2 bells of awakening. One's up above in the undead church. The other is far below, in the ruins at the base of Blight Town. Ring them both, and something happens. Brilliant, right? Not much to go on, but I have a feeling that won't stop you. So, off you go. It is why you came, isn't it? To this accursed land of the undead?
So he tells us some interesting stuff about our story. Already our workload has been doubled. Ain't that just the way? There's not 1 Bell of Awakening we have to ring, but 2 in order to access the fate of the undead, which he also seems to know about. So apparently that's not a big secret. Or if it is, he's just very privy. So we have to ring 2 Bells of Awakening, 1 up above in the undead church, the other in the ruins below Blight Town. So those are going to be the 2 areas that we already know to go to right away. We have to find an undead church and ruins beneath a place called Blight Town. A name that you are probably familiar with if you know anything about Dark Souls. You've probably heard the name Blight Town, which Ooh boy, can't wait till we get there in this version, because that'll be a whole lot to talk about. Okay, so let's get into exploring some more. Let's pick up some stuff. Let's see what's on this unfortunate soul hanging over a well. We've got some humanity. Let's take a look and see what that is. Rare tiny black sprite found on corpses. Used to gain 1 humanity and restore a large amount of HP. This black sprite is called humanity, but little is known about its true nature. If the soul is the source of all life, then what distinguishes the humanity we hold within ourselves? So, that's really esoteric nonsense that makes no sense. So, it's definitely understandable why coming through this game and picking that up, you might not understand what humanity is or what it does or why it matters, other than, oh, it's just a really good healing item, which it is. It is something that you can use to, quote, restore a large amount of HP, but that's not its real utility. That's not really what makes it useful. You also pick up humanity from beating bosses, so I got one from beating the Asylum Demon, our tutorial boss from the Undead Asylum, but unfortunately you guys didn't get to see that. And I picked up 3 from that corpse, which is quite a lot. Usually you only find 1 at a time. In rare cases you'll find 2 on just a body lying around. I doubt at this point there's any kind of meaningful story or lore implication there, though a lot of other playthroughs you could watch would definitely get into the lore significance of every little item that you could find. If that's something you're into, that's great. I've definitely watched plenty of those and find them really entertaining, but that's not really what I'm going to be going for here. I'll read some stuff that's important, but for the most part, like, when I pick up a long sword, it's just a long sword, you know? So I'll leave it at that. Let's go exploring. Okay, we've got a nice little flooded place here. Got a chest over here that's always open. Not really sure what it is or why it's there, but it's a chest. Got a stairway here leading up. Got a path leading down to a graveyard down there. Trust me, you're probably going to be tempted to go to this graveyard at first because it's the most obvious path forward at first. If you are like me and not the most observant, you're just going to explore and find this obvious path down here leading there and go there, and you're going to have a really bad time, which we'll get to see pretty shortly. But that area down by that graveyard is not something that's a place I recommend going to when you first show up. It will be rough, not only because you'll be fighting things that do a lot of damage to you and you're not doing a lot of damage to them, but the things down there are just kind of hard to fight when you don't know the mechanics of the game yet, which you're not going to just coming out of the tutorial. So let's pick up something from this guy, Soul of a Lost Undead. Oh right, I talked about that in my attempt at the tutorial, but it's not picked up here. In the bottom right of my screen, you'll see I have a number that says 2,360. That is my souls. That is how many souls I have, and souls are your currency and experience points all bundled into one in this game. Also, if you loop around here, there's another little guy here with a thing, and it's another Soul of Lost Undead. So those are your experience points, your currency, all together. You gain them either from picking up items like this, which you can go into your inventory and use them. And that just gave me 400 souls. You also pick them up from killing enemies. You're basically absorbing their strength, absorbing their power, bringing it into you, and you can use that power to buy items, which we don't have anyone to sell us items really yet. I mean, we do, but we're not going to buy from him yet, so I'm not going to talk to him this minute. But you also use those souls to level up. As you can see here, it takes 673 souls to level up, and I have 2760. So I can get 1, 2, 3, 4. I can get... Okay, just 3. I can get 3 levels here at first, which is good, because I can put 3 points into any of these stats. And so while we're here, let's get into it. Some of the more boring nuts and bolts, I guess it could be, of the game are stats. They're really important, so it is good to know if you're going to play the game. Vitality, that is your hit points. So you can see it's going to bring me up from 573 hit points to 594. And my defenses are all going up. You see there at the bottom, the physical defense versus strike versus slash, etc. All that goes up, but that goes up every time you take a level, any level. Doesn't matter what you put it in, your defense will go up. So attunement, nothing obvious goes up at first, but the more points you put into it, if you see over attunement slots go up, and attunement slots are how many spells you can have ready, like spell slots in, say, 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. And you have a certain amount of uses of them per rest at a bonfire or per life, depending. It'll be something you'll see when I'm using magic more, because I have pyromancy. So if you're spending any points into your magic and plan on getting a bunch of spells, you definitely want more attunement slots. Endurance, if you've played this game, you know this is obviously the master stat. This increases your stamina, which is super important, and it increases your equip load, which is how much stuff, whether it's items or, well, really mostly just equipment like weapons and attire, armor, etc. How much of that you can have on you at all times. Because this isn't like Fallout or Skyrim, where the amount of stuff you're carrying determines your inventory and what you can carry. It's how much you're wearing is limited at any given time. Strength is going to be damage from heavy weapons, dexterity, damage from light weapons, resistance is stupid and useless, intelligence is damage from magic, and I think maybe speed of spellcasting, I can't remember, and faith is going to be strength of miracles. And I think right now, let me put some points into dexterity so I can get some sweet bonuses to my backstabs and critical hits, because that's going to be really important to the way most people play. If you parry, if you get backstabs, you're going to want dexterity because it increases the damage. So let's do that for now. I feel stronger, more dexterous already. Let's go, I already went there, so let's explore over here. Well, here's another guy to talk to. What do you have to say?
Hello there. I believe we are not acquainted. I am Petrus of Firelink. Have you business with us? If not, I'd prefer to keep a distance, if possible.
Huh. I suppose I could have business.
Hello there. I realize that I have requested that we retain our distance, but I also want you to know that it is not meant in ill will. Here, take this, as a token of peace. No, go ahead. It's for you.
A copper
Oh
coin.
my, you again. Oh, I know. How about this? I have to await my companions here anyway. So what if I were to teach you some miracles? Would that please you?
Perhaps.
Very well. Then first, a covenant with the gods.
Sure, let's join a covenant. Whatever that means.
let me share my miracles. Only their ultimate effectiveness will be determined by your efforts and your faith.
Okay, so he is a magic teacher. You'll see a few of them throughout the game. He teaches you miracles, which are based on your faith stat. Not many of these are going to be combat, but some of them are, and some of the later ones will be extremely effective and powerful. But right now it's mostly going to be healing, homeward, which teleports you to a bonfire, and spells that are going to hinder your enemies more so than do damage to them, like pushing them back, slowing them down, things like that. I haven't used a ton of miracles, probably not going to in this one, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe they'll strike my fancy. He just taught me how to shrug, which is great. Gesture learned.
Come again. The effectiveness of the teachings depend upon your faith.
Okay, so yeah, as he's definitely reinforced there, the miracles are going to be dependent upon your faith. So the more points you have in faith, the stronger they'll be. So let's continue exploring, see what's around up here. That sure is a pit. So let's go up these stairs. Oh look, another soul of a lost undead. And here's a roof over here where you can see there's something up there that we can grab. I'll come back for that later. And you know what? You only live once, right? Let's drop down here and see what's up. Okay, so we are in a little clearing here. We've got a treasure chest. Has a homeward bone, which is an item that when used, it takes us to the last bonfire that we rested at without losing our soul. So basically, you get to respawn without dying. So it's something where if you have a lot of souls, or you've got humanity, or you just don't really think you're ready to take on a boss, you can use that, and it sends you back to where you once came from. And you'll get to take another shot at things. Replenish, regroup. You know, sometimes you just get trapped, you get out of position, and you need to get out quick. That's a way to go. A morning star and a talisman. Which, you know, okay, so I should probably talk about that. Morning star, just like a mace. Just a basic, it's a little spiky weapon. Doesn't really chain together in any combos, which isn't why it's not a favorite of mine. And then a talisman, which is a way to cast miracles. That's, you'll see, like, my pyromancy flame is how I cast pyromancy. There's a sorcerer's catalyst, which is how you cast sorceries. And that's, like, basically just a staff, or a very large wand, a rod, etc. A talisman is just that for miracles. And then, cracked red eye orb. Defeat the master of the world you have invaded to acquire humanity. The cracked red eye orb allows players to temporarily imitate this normal ability. Wow, I can't read, can I? The cracked red eye orb allows players to temporarily imitate this ability, normally limited to the dark wraiths of Kath. That is more nonsense. That means nothing. I mean, it does mean something, but it means nothing to us right now. The important part is that is an item you use to go into another player's world and try to kill them and take their humanity. Why you would do that outside of just being a cruel person? Well, there are some reasons. There are some reasons to do that. we'll get into it later. And another interesting thing is that aside from the lone body with 3 humanity on it over that well earlier, pretty much everything, every enemy, every item is put where it is in this game for a reason. So there is a way to get out of sticky situations. There is a way to cast miracles and a monk paladin type weapon with the Morning Star. And then there's a way to go invade other players and kill them. So it's interesting that all these things are together in this hidden little alcove exactly where it is. We'll figure out exactly why later. Oh, and what's this? We have another thing. Lloyd's Talisman. That's another cleric item. So we have Confirmation, that's a cleric situation. And Lloyd's Talisman is something you can throw, and it prevents Estus recovery, which means that if you throw that at an enemy, they can't heal. Which, if you saw the tutorial, which you didn't, of course you didn't because it didn't record. I'm on a roll today, folks. Enemies can heal. They can use an Estus Flask just like you. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And this will stop them from doing it. And oh look! I slid down here and I'm in that graveyard I told you about. And these guys attack really fast. They attack in bunches, and let's let this meter build up a little bit. Even if you block their hits, which a little meter builds up below us. There we go. You can see the purple starting to fill up. That is a bleeding meter. I'm actually taking a lot of damage, so I'm going to back off and heal. Somehow. And when that meter fills up, you get a state called Blood Loss, which does like a pretty huge chunk of just bulk damage. And that's something you want to avoid. Usually when those meters build up, it's a status effect. You can get poisoned, you get something called Toxic. But bleeding is definitely one that you want to cut off before it fills, because once it fills, it can very easily kill you. Alright. So, let me just hack away at these guys. As you can see, I'm not really doing a lot of damage to them. And I messed up my timing with the parry there. I was going to try and show you a parry. There. If you press L2 right as an enemy is swinging at you, if you time it just right, you can get a critical hit off of the ensuing parry and riposte. Like that. How kind of this guy to wait until I murdered his buddy to come join us. And if you press R1 right behind an opponent, which will be really easy to do on things that aren't these damn skeletons, you'd get a critical hit backstab, which is what you just saw there. And they can be pretty easy to fish for if you know what you're doing, and he just fell down. If I go down there, a couple other skeletons are going to hop to life, and I'll be fighting 3 of them at once, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to kill this guy and then get out. Okay, so we took care of that. Should have enough souls to level up again. I think I'll put a point into endurance so I can have some more stamina. Oh God! Dark Souls. Okay, well, that's my first death. Glad you could all see it. Got that out of the way. Luckily, those 790 souls aren't gone for good. When you die, you drop... Why am I going this way? I don't want to take the long way. When you die, you drop any souls in humanity that you had on you at the time. Or that you had active in the case of humanity. And if you go back to the spot where you died, or somewhere close, you can retrieve them and get them back. Which really incentivizes, if you die in a normal run of a level, to at least make it back that far and pick up what you left behind. So yeah, let me take another point of endurance, get up to 12. Got a lot of 12s across the board. Okay, let's see. I talked to that guy. I talked to the other guy. We don't know his name yet, technically, but that up there is Petrus. He is a cleric of the Way of White Covenant, which is a multiplayer thing. You can use summon signs to go help other players or bring other players to help you with bosses with difficult levels, and you get rewards for doing so. And this guy doesn't have a name, but he is a crestfallen warrior, as he's known. Maybe he will tell us why.
Face, you're practically hollow. I don't know. Going hollow could solve quite a bit.
We're practically hollow. Going hollow would solve quite a bit. Yeah, we look pretty beef jerky-esque here. We are in hollow form, which is what happens when you die in this game. The opposite of that is if you use a humanity. You can see that 0 in the top left of my screen just turned into a 1, which means I have 1 humanity active. And when you rest at a bonfire, you can use that to reverse hollowing. Which restores you humanity. And then now I have a human person looking face. Which is good. See if he has anything else to say right now.
What? You want to hear more? Oh, that's all we need. Another inquisitive soul. Well, listen carefully then. One of the bells is up above in the undead church, but the lift is broken. You'll have to climb the stairs up the ruins and access the undead burg through the waterway. The other bell is back down below the undead burg, within the plague-infested Blight Town. But I'd die again before I step foot in that cesspool.
So this guy is dumping a lot more exposition on us and telling us more about our mission. So to get to one of the bells, we have to go up through the waterway, which we can see over there, into the undead burg, and climb up through the burg to get to the undead church. The other is in the plague-infested cesspool that is Blighttown, which he would rather die than step foot in again. And in due time, we'll definitely see why that is. So I think that's most of everything you can do in here right now. More stuff will happen with this place as we go on through the game. But I think for right now, that'll be a first episode 1, just exploring here. We will leave the confines of Firelink Shrine and embark on our quest proper in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Parm plays Dark Souls. It's not that